just capture this for posterity, and yeah, and document anything we discuss, any questions and all that. Okay. Right. So welcome to the Power BI Basic Developer session. So question is, how do I build my first report using Power BI? What do I need? Right. So those are kind of questions we're going to be answering during this session. So what do we have? By the way, do you have Power BI desktop installed on your
I
computer?
do.
Oh, okay, good.
I've opened it. It's
Oh, good. So what are we covering? What is Power BI as a platform? What are the things involved in Power BI, that is the ecosystem? So what are the terminologies that we need to be aware of? And then, the learning curve. What are the things that we need to learn? What are the skills that we already have that we can transfer, in our journey, and how do we even connect to Power BI, right? And then, of course, creating reports, things like app and dashboard, so along this presentation, we'll be going through some demonstration, and yeah, and if you can follow along, that would be nice. If you have access to some files that you can work with, that would be nice. But if you cannot, it's all good, So question is, what is Power BI? Like I said earlier, Power BI is a step up from spreadsheet, especially Excel, the old version of Excel. I'm not talking about Excel 365, but that's a bit intelligent now, However, Power BI is still a step up. It gives you dynamic visuals, dynamic reporting to your data, right? You can connect to any data source, lots of data source, from Excel to analysis servers to an SQL server to various services various connectors, and you can import that data and create visuals just like what you see in front of you. And such visuals can be shared on your platform, whether it be a desktop or mobile phone or tablet, which basically tells you that you can access your data anywhere, any place, at any time. So imagine yourself in Barbados under umbrella, drinking a pina colada, and you want to check what your department is doing. You can easily pick up your phone and see live data, So that's what Power BI is all about. BI, of course, is business intelligence. So getting business intelligence from clinical and operational data so that we can make actionable interference on what our data is saying. Hello, Susan. Good morning. Susan, can you hear me?
She's on mute.
Oh, yeah, just give us a thumbs up. That's fine. All right. You can. Oh, yeah, she's raising up her hand, but yet, fine, we know you're there. You're welcome. We're just starting. So the first session, what is Power BI? So what are the components that makes up Power BI as a platform? So we have Power BI Desktop, which is what we're going to be looking at in a bit more details later today, which is the authoring tool for publishing reports from ground zero to the beautiful visuals that we'll see at the end of the day. And then we have Power BI Service, which is the online software as a service platform in which, when we do our reporting, auto our reporting, and then we publish to the Power BI service, where everybody, consumers, can consume what we, what we've designed and published. And then we have Power BI Data Gateway, which is like an on-premise service that Microsoft has given to organizations who want to secure their data, basically, say because of regulation or compliance and stuff like that. Obviously, we need to protect patient data, right? So we need to keep our data to ourselves, as opposed to hosting the data on a cloud service like Azure or Amazon Web Service. So we need to take control. So Microsoft has provided a platform called a Gateway, which act as a bridge in which we can use to publish our report from our data center, local data center, to the software as a service platform. And then there's the reporting server or the report server, which help us, if you need to generate reports in pages, static pages or paginated report, as they say, that particular tool help us to achieve that. And of course, the last one is the Power BI mobile. So if you go to any of your respective mobile phone app store, be it iOS or PlayStation, Play, I think it's called Play, in Androids, you should be able to download Power BI as an app, right? So with that, you can connect to the software as a service platform and view reports. So that's the capability that allows people to access data anywhere, anytime, at any place. So this is what it looks like, architecturally. You can see on the left-hand side your various sources of data. So could be from a database, from a cloud service, um, from an analysis service, and then also from your Power BI desktop, which is the software you will use to author and develop reports. So you have that, you can publish whatever data set you have and report into the Power BI service, which is what we see in the cloud, which is software as a service. And you can see how the Power BI gateway links to the Power BI service. Obviously, you can see the padlock, which signifies that it's a secure connection. And then, of course, you can access your reports and data set via the various platforms, desktop, mobile, and tablets. So the question is, to be competent using Power BI, what are the things as developers that we need to know? Now, if you're coming from an Excel perspective, if you're an intermediate Excel user, you will know that there's a particular tool called Power Query within Excel, which is what you will use to, say, transform your data, clean your data. It's the bundled ETL, extraction, transform, and load tool that comes with Excel. That tool also exists within Power BI. So you need to develop some competency using that. And of course, after that, we need to know what it takes to model data modeling, for example, to be precise, sorry, data modeling. So we talk about things like fact table, dimension table, or if you're coming from something like entity relationship diagram, right, in which you have your entities and your and the relationship that exists within your entities, say customer or hospitals and specialties and stuff like that, all those things are designed, but we need to have the ability to design them in an architect that we can use further down the line, which is say create visuals. So data modeling, we'll talk about things like fact table, dimension table. I will explain that in more details later. And then, of course, DAX. Question is, what is DAX? DAX is basically similar to Excel functions and formula. In a way, it's similar to that. So it's how we calculate matrix and measures from our data, how we get results, how we do calculations from our data. So DAX, which is data analysis expression language, is what allows us to be able to do that in Power BI. So again, we probably need to develop some sort of competency using DAX, but it's not necessary initially. But as you go further, as you become a better Power BI user, that proficiency is required and it grows. And of course, the last part of it, which is creating the visuals from your calculations, we look at that, and then sharing after you've created your visuals and how do we refresh our data and stuff like that. So we look at all that from a Power BI desktop perspective. Okay, before we do the slides, let's do, so I want to assume that everybody has at least download the Power BI desktop. All right. If you don't, it's not a problem now, but if you're coming for the intermediate session, you definitely need to have downloaded it, right? But that's what it looks like. You contact IT, and IT will push it on your desktop, all right? Now, however, if you have a local PC, right, say you want to practice how to use it on your local computer, on your personal computer, the best thing to do is, let me just exit the full screen, go to Microsoft Store, Microsoft, Microsoft Store, come here and do a search, Power BI Desktop or Power BI, and then there we are. It's a free application, it's a free software that you can download on your computer, all right? And you click on get. So that's one way, that's my recommended way of downloading Power BI. If you download Power BI here and you put it on your desktop or your computer, which is what I have here, right? Because Microsoft regularly do updates, give out updates, monthly. If they, if they need to improve on the software or add new features and all that, right? So because you've downloaded from the marketplace, whenever there's an update, this will automatically update itself. It will automatically update itself, as opposed to downloading full screen, downloading from just give me a second for you to refresh. Yeah, say downloading from Microsoft website. So if we do a search, say Power BI desktop download, for example. All right, get Power BI desktop Microsoft. Let's click on that. That's not what I want. Power BI desktop. Let's go on there. Okay, it brings you down here. It says download. So if you download from any of the website here, if you download from here, which is, it's fine. You'll get the, latest and greatest software downloaded on your computer. However, when there's an update, right, you'll have to come on your computer, uninstall the old version, and then download again. So there's a bit of effort in renewing your version. So whereas if you download from the marketplace, the update is done automatically. So that's just to put that in. So right, we have it downloaded on our computer. It's there, so we click on it. What is Power BI Desktop? Let's see. Takes its time, so we just have to be patient. It's a computing world. Yeah. All right, where are you? Okay. There we are. Since it's just two of us, if you need to interject or ask me any question, just let me know as we go on. That'll be fine. Oh, open so many instances. So yeah. Okay, right. It's asking me to sign up. Let's see what it comes up with. This is new. Uh, okay. Right. So we've just launched Power BI Desktop. I think right? And it will, the first thing it does is present you with a splash screen. So what is this? So on the right hand side, you can see I'm logged in somehow. I'll tell you how I logged in. It's got some features here that are interesting. What's new? What's new in Power BI? So if you click on that link, it will take you to a web page, and the web page will give you updates of what new features have been added um, to Power BI, and also forums. Forums, basically, there are various community online where people share new ways of working with Power BI. So new ways of data modeling or new ways of creating visuals and all that. There's a big community out there, so whatever question you have, sure, if you go on that website, there's somebody there that's already asked that question and you will see the relevant answer. Again, the same thing with blogs, where people collaborate. And then you have loads of tutorials on how to get started with Power BI. So get started with Power BI desktop, download samples. You can download samples to play around with. There are so many training videos, right, which are highlighted in the middle. You can see getting started with Power BI desktop, building report, query, view concept, So I will employ you, at some point, click on those. Some of them are like 3 minutes or 5 minutes videos, but definitely you will learn a lot from just watching those. And of course, on the left-hand side, you can see the shortcut to things like get data. We'll talk about that, and some of the resources that I've been connecting to. You can see clinical coding, probably somewhere on SharePoint or whatever. Okay, this lives on my desktop, but shortcuts to where you have your data. So normal thing, what do we do with screen splash? We just kill that, right? And we are confronted with the proper visuals for Power BI desktop. So it's intuitive. You can see it's kind of familiar, especially if you're coming from a data perspective. So you have the clipboard, the famous clipboard. You have the data segment, right, which is showing some icons that might be familiar, right? Get data, Excel workbook. We'll look into that. Query, how we transform data, insert I don't know, text box or whatever we want to ask, calculations. So this is how we do calculations, you know, uh, and some other stuff, sensitivity, how do we share? So that's the button for share. And all that lives within the home tab on the toolbar. So we have other tabs, insert, modeling, view and so on. So what we're looking at is what we call the report view. So within the report view, this is where you build your visuals. All right. This is, however, before you build the visuals, it's presenting to you more ways of getting in data into Power BI desktop. So it says import data from Excel, import data from SQL Server. You can even paste into a blank table. And then you can try out some sample data that Microsoft has prepared just for us to learn. And then click on get data. We'll look at all that. So we're looking at the report view. And within the report view, we have things like the panes. So we have the filter pane, right? So when you have reports, you can place in filters here that kind of determines how your visuals, how the users will interact with your visual that you have in your report, right? And you also have your visualization pane, right, which has elements that you can use to create your visuals. And of course, the last pane is the fields pane. So if you're bringing data, right, you will see your data tables here and with all the corresponding fields listed. We'll look at all that. So on the left-hand side, we have three icons, right? So currently, we are on the report view, which is this guy here. So this is what the report view looks like. And then the next one is the data view. So when you bring in any data, you will see your data table appearing in this space, right? You'll see your corresponding field appearing in this field. And then your model view where you build your data model. you will see all your data model and all the relationship here, you know. So at least that's a wee store of what the desktop looks like. So the question now, which is the main thing, is how do we get in data? Like I said, these are options to get in data, but you know, there's something that says get data. So that's intuitive enough. Connect to data for multiple sources. So let's click on that. Oh, okay. Common data source. So we have Excel, Power BI desktop, sorry, Power BI dataset, Power BI data flow. We have all kinds of connectors here, you know, text, SQL server, analysis server, services, you know. There's so many. Let's click on more to just see, you know, what we have. Right. So with all, it's listing everything, access database, PDF. So if you have a table in the PDF format, you can connect to it and extract the data out of it. There's a whole lot. There's a whole lot of endpoints that we can connect to. LinkedIn. There's a whole lot here, you know. So let's see. It says Excel workbook, right? Let's try this PDF. Let's see if I can connect to a PDF form. If I have any PDF file that has a table in it, right? I don't think I have any PDF files here. But normally with the PDF file, if you have a table in a PDF file, Power BI desktop will extract that table, you know, and bring it in. But that's fine. That's fine. Let's say look at an Excel workbook. So again, you can do it from here. You can do it from here. You can even go into get data. Again, there, like any Microsoft product, there are various ways of doing the same thing. So let's try this Excel workbook. Again, I think I have something here, right? Okay. All right. So that's an Excel workbook, right? So it's called Kevin Cookie, which is a fictitious cookie company. Uh, Financials. Let's see what is inside. So if I click open, what happens? Power BI Desktop connects to the data source, which is the spreadsheet on a computer, right? And then within that spreadsheet or workbook, sorry, we have three items. We have financial, we have cookie sales, and then there's something called sheet one. Right, so question is, we can view this. What's in financial? So when you click on financial, it gives you a preview of what's in that worksheet, for example. Now, but see the blue icon that we're looking at, that's actually a table. That's how Power BI represents a table. So it has identified a table in your Excel workbook, and that's the icon for it. Now, the bottom ones are basically what worksheet, you know. Power BI has the ability to recognize that. So we have a preview of what's in it. Again, so you will say, oh, okay, this is what I need. This is my data set that I need to work with. All right. But then let's look at the other ones. So cookie sales. All right. So this looks like the same thing like what we saw here. Right. And then what about this one? Okay. It's coming up with some no, right? If we actually look at the data set, this is actually a pivot table page, you know, so it's not reading that, but it recognizes that it's that. But what we need here, for example, is the financial table, right? We just click on the checkbox beside it. Once we do that, we have these three options. It says load, transform data, or cancel the whole process, right? So if I click on load, what will happen is that the data will be loaded directly into Power BI. Now, the only reason why I would do that is if I believe and trust my data set that my data is clean. We all know that data from data source is not always clean. We have to massage it. We have to transform it to suit our end purpose. All right. So in order to do that, we click on transform data. And when we do that, Power BI Desktop will go ahead and launch Power Query Editor. Right. So this is Power Query Editor. It's a separate application, although bundled. So this is Power Query Editor, and you can see Power BI Desktop behind it. All right. So it's an intermediary bundled application that helps you in your transformation process. So what do we do here? Got your table, right? Right. These are the fields in the table. So in relating this to, say, trust data, for example, so this column could be hospital, this could be specialty, this could be numbers of patients or age or anything. Data can be any data, you know. But so here, what do? We look at a data set. How can we make this better? First of all, the data type, you look at the data type, right? The data type is fine. Okay, this is a text column, so it should be text anyway. Then you just go around, do a visual inspection of your data, making sure that there's no error and there's no null cell. To be able to do that, you go to you go to view, right? So within the view, we want to check our column quality. If you click on column quality, right, highlight a column, for example, right? So you can see at the top of the page, it's giving you a summary of your column, valid 100%, no errors, no empty space, which is good. Because if you have errors and empty space, you know that will impact, that has an implication on your final result when you do your visuals. So you want to make sure that, you don't have any gaps in your data. So the Power Query Editor allows you to do that transformation. I'll show you some example as we go on, but you can see tools here: transpose, reverse, count rows, for example. Yeah, detect data type. Um, home, and imagine this. Use first row as header. Which if you're coming from Excel, probably you'll be familiar with that. And there's so many things. So let's just assume, because Power Query Editor transformation is a class by itself. It's a full class. Some organizations, some people just focus on that, ensuring that data is clean before it's passed down downstream. All right. So, but let's just assume, for the sake of our training, that our data is clean. Before we leave, let's look at something else. So we're looking at column quality. You can also look at column distribution, right? So 662 distinct, 628 unique entries. You can look at column profile, right? It tells you the profile of your data, gives you a summary, of your data, zero, the count, 700 items in a row, no errors. You have 4 distinct entries. So we're looking at this column, for example. If you move to this column, it might change a bit. You can see that, So, let's just assume that everything is okay. We are happy with our data. Hey, all is good. So what we now do is we have extracted data from data source. We have done our transformation. Now we are loading it back into into Power BI Desktop. So we've just done a simple extraction transformation loading, which is called ETL in Data Speaks. Come on, 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 come on. Right, and it's loaded, but we don't see anything here, but this has changed anyway. If we look at the right-hand side on the field pane, we can see our data. and we can see all the columns in our data, right? If we go here, we're in the report view, but let's go to our data view. What do we have? You can see our data now, and you can see all the fields that exist in our data, all right? If you go to the model view, of course, we only have one table, right? We only have one table, okay? And we can start, building our visuals here, depending on what the business is asking from us, right? So this is sales data, for example, So a question will be, we need to know the total revenue per country, right? So all you have to do is total revenue. You can see total revenue, right? And you click on that. Wow, okay. It gives you the total revenue, but against what? The business wants per country. If you click on that, what do we get? Oh, we've been able to split the total revenue per country. So you can see how easy it is to start building visuals in Power BI, right? Say we want to slice this information by, let's say, year. So you probably be familiar with slicers in Excel. So we click on slicer, for example. Yeah, we've got an empty space, and we want to slice that by year. So depending on how many, we have only 2 years within our data set. It's giving us the 2 year. You can change that format if you're not happy with that. You can go to a drop down, or you can go to a list, right? And then we want to know total revenue per country, say in 2018. You can see that has changed. Yeah, 2019, you can see all that. Now, that's not even visual enough, right? Because your consumers don't even know what's going on. So to make things better, let's put in a card. And you can see that you can move stuff around. And in that card, what we want to see, let's do 2 cards. One is revenue, right? And the other one, if you do a control copy, that's control C, and then control V, right? We have 2 cards with revenue. So if you do that, you can see how responsive they are, right? Okay, if you go to 2018, you can see all that. You can clear that up. That's a little eraser to clear your filter, right? Here, click outside the box, right? So in total, we have about 4.69 million in revenue, okay? But here, instead of revenue, we want to change that to profit. So we come to the fields here. You can see the fields, right? We delete that, and we replace that with, say, profit. Just drop and drag into the field. Okay, and it's that easy to create visuals, right? So I'm going to pause here before I go on. So I like some interaction. So Alex and Susan, if you want to unmute your microphone, I need you to tell me, is this new to you? Is this, insightful? Is this new education? And
Yes,
go on.
it is new to me. Yeah, I've followed you until I've put a couple of cards in, but then I've stopped now. You went a bit too fast after that.
All right, just tell me if I'm going too fast. I'll take it down a notch a bit. Good. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah, Susan, you can just type in your comments. I will appreciate that too. All right. All right, so it's okay. Okay, I think I get that. You don't have a microphone. That's all right. Yeah, thank you very much. So, and that's us working with a flat file, a single file, and you can see how easy you can build visuals, right? So I think in Excel, probably you get your data, all right. you can easily build a chart or a pie chart or stuff like that, or you might have to go into a pivot table, right? And before you get the right calculation, you might have to do VLOOKUPs and stuff like that, right? So that's not happening here for now, at least, you know. So you can see what I mean by it's a step up from Excel. What I mean by it's comparing a Fiesta to a Tesla, so to say, you know. But and this is it, working from a single flat file, right? But let's say we need to add more data to this, for example. Hi, Zane.
Hi there.
Hi there. All right. Just continue. Just listen to us while we continue. And your microphone is
No
actually
problem.
echoing. All right. So Zane, yeah, continue at the end of the session. Yeah, I'll get to know you and answer some of your questions, but follow along with us. So this is your data. The first set of data we imported, it's a flat file, a single Excel worksheet that we brought in, or a table that we brought in into Power BI. But let's assume that, you know what, we can do better, right? We need to add some more data to our data sets, and that data, say, is not actually part of the original data. So what do we do? Let's go back home. We click on transform data, for example, and it takes us back into Power Query Editor. And we are back here. So we only have one table. So what is it that we want to do? Let's assume that we want to add population of all this country to our table. All right. So where do we get population, the current population from? We have to go to a website or a database at some point. So in this case, we'll go to a website. And I think the best website is right. So we want to capture data of the current population. So this is what the visualization is, working on data. Probably they use a different tool. That's where I came from, just for you guys to know. So we're looking at, okay, so this looks like what we need. So normally the best thing to do, that what people will do without Power BI, is to say, select everything, right? And do a right click, copy, right? And then launch Excel and paste it in an Excel spreadsheet. That's what most people will do. However, with Power BI, what we need to do, we know the name of the website, which is this guy here. We copy the link and we go back to Power BI desktop, right? So we're in the Power Query Editor right now. So if we go to, say, new source, right? So new source is like get data in Power BI desktop. If we click on that, we have a web option. If you click on that, it comes up with a link box where we put the link of the website we've just been looking at, right? And all we have to do is click on OK. And then it goes ahead to interrogate the website. So this is us getting data from an external source, right? So it's interrogating the website. And then it's showing us all the tables that exist on that website. Most websites, or all websites, actually build with tables behind it, right? So all we have to do now is to look at the right tables that we need for our data analysis. So obviously we're not looking for world population clock, all right, but we can see that table. What about this one? Okay, this looks like what we need because it's got countries and it's got the current population. population in 2020. All right, so that looks like something that we need. However, what about the other tables? Let's see. Territory, okay, but we don't need that. We don't need that, right? I'm not going to go through everything. So the ones we need is table 1. You might, visually inspect it just to make sure that, yeah, it will suit your purpose, right? So once you are happy with that, click on the checkbox. And here, again, you have your option. But this time, we don't have transform data. Of course, it's not necessary because we're actually within Power Query Editor, all right? So all we now need to do is click on OK. And you can see it's gone on the website, pulling the data into Power BI Desktop. And this is the website that we're looking at. This is the data set that we're looking at. So all we need to do is change the name to a suitable name. So here we call it population. Yep. And we press on enter. So we change the name here, automatically it changes here. On the properties, we can change the name also here if we want to. All right. Here we have what we call the applied step. The applied step, basically, if you're coming from an Excel perspective, it's kind of similar to your macro. It records everything you do within your transformation phase. So watch this space as as we interrogate our data. So this is our data. Here, we don't need all the columns, do we? We don't. Definitely, we don't need flags, right? So we can right-click and remove that, right? However, the only 2 columns that we need is country and population. All right. Now watch this space as I go through my transformation. I right-click and I say remove other columns. Boom. So I'm left with my 2 columns. See, if I move one step back, for example, so it records everything I do. So what it is that this is recording your transformation phase, your steps. So if you do a refresh on your data, you don't have to go through the transformation anymore because everything has been recorded. So once your data comes in, automatically it just follows this step. So your data is automatically refreshed when we get to the visuals. I'll show you, I'll demonstrate that. But just know that this is recording your step as you go along. So this is where we are, right? I'm just going to remove the header. This is my preference, just to make things clear. Okay, again, we check our data type. This is text. So this is a whole number, right? You can right click to transform. Say if you want to round it up, right? Depending on what you're looking at, what you're looking for. Let's say assume that we have errors. Replace errors. You decide what you want to replace your values, or replace error with a text or a number or whatever it is that you want to do. So this gives you the tools, things like on pivot columns, rename. So this is one way here of transforming your data, reducing your columns to what you need. Again here, if we look at our initial table, what do we have here? We have about, if we go, say, on the filter, how many countries do we have? We have about 5 countries, all right? So here, on our population table, we only need 5 countries. We don't need everybody. So what do? If we go to filter and select everything, so I know we have 5 countries. Canada is part of them. So I choose Canada, for example. I click on OK. Again, I go through my filter. I think France is another country. I choose OK, right? Again, you can see how my filtering and how my applied step is being recorded. Again, United States is one country here. I think Mexico. And I think the last one is Germany. Okay, so we have a new table. We have a population table from a data that we extracted from an external data source. Interesting. Okay, so what do we do here? We need to now merge, if you're coming from SQL perspective, how do we merge, how do we create a relationship between these two tables? Because right now they are separate tables. If we go back home, close and apply, right? Come on, where are you? It's thinking. Yeah, there we are. So it's loading population into Power BI desktop now. Sorry, I don't have any hold music, but we don't have any choice but to wait for the loading process. Ah, there we are. Right. And you can see, voila, two tables. So if we go into the right relationship, okay, it's basically aligned itself because there's country here. So what Power BI does, it automatically recognizes that, okay, we might have a relationship between country here and country. So that's good. It's giving us a relationship, right? Sometimes you might have to do this physically, you know, create that relationship. If you click on this line, for example, we get to see the type of relationship we have. So this is the main table, and this is the dimension table. And we have a many-to-one relationship, right? So what can we do with this then? We can look at our finances by population, right? It's possible if that's the question the business wants to ask, all right? But let's get back. I think we can still do some more transformation with our data. We can make our data more efficient, right? So this is just to show you, how you can connect to data. So let's look at some transformation here, right? So here, we can reduce this. If I right click, for example, first of all, I want to merge this table with the financial table. So I go home, click on Merge Queries, and create a relationship between financial and population. Okay. Now, because it's an external data source, giving you privacy warning, just click on Ignore Privacy Warning and say, okay. And you can see it's trying to match the data set that we have. You can see 700 out of 700 rows. There's a match. Okay. Alison, is this similar to something that you do within SQL?
No, not really.
Okay. All right. It's okay. So say, look at this, join kind, left outer joins.
Oh yes, I do. I do the left join and the inner join.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So
yeah,
this is how you do it in the Power Query. Right? So you can see the type of joints you have. Right? Can you see all that? So Right, we've done that, and we click on OK. So it brings in the table, this new table, into the original fact table, and we only choose what we need. What do we need here? Let's go for countries. No, I'll go for population. So one thing that I should have done, I should have renamed this to population. So let's cancel that. Let's cancel this step. So I'm going to my population table. Again, just to show you how you can walk around Power BI desktop, in particular Power Query. So we call that population, because our users will not understand what 2022 live really is. Yeah, so we've given it a proper name, and then we do that sequence again. Highlight financials, go to merge queries. Population, merge these two fields together. Left out the join, 7, and then OK. Import the table in, click the expansion button beside it. You only need the population table, so the population field, right? And when you click OK, so it's aligned the population to the countries that we have here. In other words, we have taken the population here as the primary key. We've added it to the fact table as a secondary key. All right. So what else can we do here? We've got a lot of redundancy here, for example. In fact, we can even say, you know what? Let's create a table out of this list, right? So we do duplicate column. We can do, no, well, we're not going to do duplicate column. Let's say add as new query, right? And it's coming up with a list. Now you can right click and remove duplicates, right? It's been reduced to 5 countries, and then convert that to a table, right? And then you can call that country. And then one thing we need to do, we need to add column, a new column. That column will be our index column, which will serve as our primary key. So we can call that country key, right? So from our fact table, which is the financial fact table, right, we've created a new dimension, which is called country, right? So what we need to do, go back to our fact table, which is the financial fact table, add new column, which is a new index. Sorry, we've done that already. Go to our fact table, go home, and merge queries. So this time, we want to relate the country table to the new, the fact table to the country table. Again, there's a match. Okay. So this time we just bring in the key, country key. There we are. And then what do? We don't need this. We don't need this anymore. So we do, because we've been able to create a new table, and we've brought in the primary key in the new table as a foreign key in the fact table. So we just remove this redundant column. We can also give the same treatment to our product, right click. Another way to do this, you can right click, add as new query, or right click on financial and say duplicate that table, right? You want to rename that as your product table. right? So that's the product table. And then you come here, because this is the only column we need. You right click. So these are various transformation phases, right? Or stages. And then you say, you know what? Remove other columns, right? Okay, and then reduce this, remove any duplicate. So that's been reduced from 700 rows to just 6. So we now need to add a new column, which is the primary key. And the way we do that is just add an index. I go from 1 to 0. So we call that product key. So from our fact table, from a single flat file, we've been able to create 2 new dimensions, right? And also been able to import data from an external source. All right. So what do we do here? We go back to our fact table, which is our main table, because we want to remove the product column. So what do? We go home, we merge the query. The query that we're going to merge now is product to the product, new product table and the product column. All right, again, matches 700 rows. And if you click OK, right, the table is being brought in, expand. So the only thing we need here is the key. And we'll click on OK. The product key is now part of the fact table. And then we can delete this because we don't need this. Remove column. Now, the reason why we do this, your fact table, as much as possible, you want to have numbers, integers within them, right? Because it makes your reporting more efficient. People can query your the report, so the data is more efficient. So this is data normalization, as we call it in the data world. All right. So you can see we've been able to create new dimension from a single fact table. This is where data modeling, your knowledge of data modeling comes into play. Right. So once you are happy with your data transformation, you close and apply. Let's see how Power BI does its magic. Still thinking. It's loading the new dimensions. Excuse me while I sip a cup of coffee. Right. While we wait for that, any comments, any questions, Zane? Zane, can you hear me?
Yeah, give me one second.
All right. Hi, Dean. Is that Dean? Am I right?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, sorry, I'm just listening in the background. Thank you.
Okay, no problems. You're welcome. So as you can see, Power BI has gone ahead to create some sort of data model, which kind of looks good though. So we have a population dimension, we have a country dimension, we have a product dimension, and we have the various relationship. So if you're very conversant with cardinality, what we call relationship cardinality, you can see what we have here. There's a one-to-many relationship here. There's the one-to-one relationship here, right? You can see, right? So this is some sort of what we'll call a star schema. All right, so Zane said, just to be clarified, the financial table is the same table you exported from the web. No, the financial table is an Excel spreadsheet that I have on my desktop, right? Now to enrich that financial desktop, I need, because the business is asking me that they need some population elements in my data. So what I've done is I've gone outside onto the internet to look for a website that contains population, right? So this is a set of data that I need. So what I've done now is use Power BI Desktop to pull in this data. And that data has now become part of my data set. All right, let me just switch these now. This is not the one I'm looking at. So this is from an external website, while the financial data is I'll show you where it is. It's a spreadsheet that I have on my computer. I think it's on desktop. Right. So I'm working from this spreadsheet, which could be any spreadsheet that you have on your computer, for example. All right. So I pull that data, the financial data, which is this basically. So here we have some sort of schema, what we call in data modeling, we have two major types of schemas. We have what we call star schema and snowflake schema. So if we go to images, so we have something like this. So the financial, in our case, is the fact table. The dimension will be population dimension, product dimension, and we can also have something like time dimension, depending on so in the case of the trust, for example, so this fact table might be patient flow, might be maternity, right? Might be encounter or urgent care, for example. And your dimension could be hospitals, specialty, wards, right? So your hospitals, your dimension are your lookup table to answer the facts that you're required to answer within the fact table, right? So this is star. So everything is emanating. You can see there's a one-to-many relationship, So there's with the facts table has the many side, while the dimension has the one side, right? And this is a star schema. Now, a snowflake schema will probably look like this. So the sales, for example, is the fact table, and you have the dimension as product, department, and customer, right? Now you can now have extension of your dimension. You might have another table. So we have department here, and also we have region. So this now is no longer a star schema. This is what we call a snowflake schema, right? However, best practice is that Power BI love star schemas, right? Let's just put that at the back of our mind. Again, this is an example of a snowflake schema, right? But our goal is to have a star schema, all right? So that's data modeling 101. All right, so here, I'm going to delete this active relationship, which is a one-to-one. We don't need that in our data model. It's going to go away because we have a relationship. However, it's broken. The line is broken. The reason why the line is broken is because that relationship is not active. However, that's what we need. And then that's gone, but this is still not active yet. So if we highlight, double click on that, this is what we have. That's the relationship. That's the fact table. It's related to this population. The cardinality is many to one, right? However, it's not active. So if I click on active and I click OK, it will become active. But before we go, you want to have your relationship many to one, right? You also have other types of relationship, one to one, one to many, or many to many. However, best practice is to have many to one. All right. So we've made it with the relationship active and we'll click on OK. Right. It's now a solid line. Okay. Right. So what do we have? We have a table. We have at least 3 dimensions. So if we go back to our visualization or reporting mode, of course, this is broken. You know why it's broken? Because it's not corresponding to the current relationship we have. So what do? We remove it, right click on the ellipsis, remove. So what are we trying to build now? We need to know, say, for example, I don't know, profit, right, by, say, country, and you have that. You start building your your visuals. You can build a table. Just put this. These are cards. So this is what we call cards. Now, how did we get this? Just to repeat again. So that's a card. That's a card icon visual. So if you click on an empty space, click on card. Comes with a box. And what is it that you want to put on your card? Say, sum of units sold, for example. Right? Now you can filter your result by clicking, say, Canada. How much did you sell on Canada? You can see how your visuals, because of the relationship, all right? Not sure how you're going to use our population, but let's say, we have a table. Again, create a table. You can expand. So select or drag fields to populate the visual. So you can, if you're coming from a Power BI, so a pivot table development in Excel. So we probably will start, say, country, for example, in the table, right? Now, the reason why this is showing us Germany, because Germany is selected here. If we click outside the box, it will list all the countries. Now, you can also say, you know what? Say population. No, not that. Not there. Highlight the box you want. Say population. Right? You can see how you bring in your fields. Say profit. You can see how that is being generated. You can build your visuals to answer whatever business questions is being asked. All right. So we've been able to extract data from different sources, say from a spreadsheet, and then also from a website. We've been able to create a relationship with all that. And you can see how we've generated our visuals. Hi, Zane, go on.
I'm just really confused as to how the population table has been used here, because I feel, was it the profit in the financial section?
No, I've not done any calculation here. I'm just showing you how you can take any fields and build any visual that the business is asking. So here, I'm not sure how we are going to use population, But what I've
Okay,
just shown you how you can get any data, say from an external
okay.
source. In this case, you know, a relative data will be population. So let's say business says, you know what, we want to know how many cookies are we selling per, you know, divided by
Person.
population, for example. You know, within the trust, for example, let's say we want to know how many percentage of the population have been vaccinated against COVID.
Okay.
And maybe you don't know the population. You go to an external website, data.org or whatever, to get the current population, you know, and then
Yeah.
maybe you do some calculation to derive how many percentage of the population has been vaccinated.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. Any question from anybody? Thanks for that, Zane. Deanne, any question from you? Because you're just joining us.
Sorry, yeah, just very quickly, you just quickly just dragged the box that you're working on. You just quickly put that in there. Can you just do that again? Sorry.
All right, so here you have your visualization element.
Yeah.
Right? You have your bar chart. So let's say we want to create a table in a visual that you want your consumers to see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm just going to create another one. So I'm clicking on an empty space. That's an empty box, you know, a table. And then you decide, okay, what fields do you want in your table? So say again,
right, yeah.
countries, and you want revenues per country, right? And then you want to also add profits.
Yeah, that's a much quicker way than I've been shown before you. So that's much better. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's all right. All right. So, you know, again, this is just, you know, at this point, there's a lot we can do. You can format your table, for example, right? So if you click on general, you can your height, position, and all that. Let's see, style, for example, alternating rows, something like that. You can play around with things like that. Flashy rows, you know, something like that. Again, this is where your user experience intuition comes into play. You know, UX design intuition come into play, right? But you know, again, there's a standard template within the trust. But for now, what I'm concerned about is I want you to learn the in and out of Power BI desktop. You know, the others are bells and whistles that we can pick up later and add. You know, for example, on this, you can come and format your style. Where are we? Just highlight the cell. You know, you can do things like change the vector coordination, the width, the height. Introduce a zoom slider, something like that. So this will give your users the ability to zoom on the data, for example. Slider labels, if you want to remove that, something like that. Data color, so we can change that from blue to baby pink, if there's any color like that, for example. You know, what will be appealing to your consumers, you know? So start schema to start with. This is our tables. You can view your tables here. And this is your reporting page. Another scenario will be, say you have a spreadsheet in SharePoint, somewhere in SharePoint. All right. So let me just do this. Excel. So by the way, this is just to show you an overview of what Power BI Desktop can do. Right? When we get into the intermediate session, we'll go a bit more into details into some of the activities that we've seen. So I'm just trying to find a spreadsheet here. So let's say desktop. I'm looking for something on SharePoint. So, okay, this is a spreadsheet I have in SharePoint, right? If I click on that just to open the SharePoint folder, and I'm sure a lot of us have spreadsheets hiding away somewhere in a folder or somewhere on SharePoint. So it's loading, it's loading, it's loading. Come on. Ah, that's my data set. So that's my table as it exists somewhere on SharePoint. All right. So I'll go to File. Okay. And then I click on Info. Right. And all I have to do here is click on Copy Path. That's all I have to do. Copy path. And then I close that. I close that. I don't need that. So what do I need to do? How do I bring in that data if I need that data as part of my data sets? What do I need to do? Simple. Just go to Get Data. Again, go to Web. And then, we've done a copy path. Just right-click, Control-V, and you get this long link. Now, with this long link, what you want to do, see here, there's a question mark, web equals 1. You want to remove that until you get to the extension XLS. Right? Now, click on OK. It's gone onto SharePoint side. You can see the link. Right? Said I'm already signed in because, I've got my MFT Trust login. And all I want to do, it's organizational account. Just connect to it. What do you mean user isn't signed in yet? You already signed in. Signed in. Nah, connect. Oh. All right. We need to sort this out. Windows. Let's try Windows. Use my credentials. Aha, that looks okay. Oh. Interesting. Okay. Let's try this. Okay. So that will be my first name. Dot my surname at mft.nhs.uk and my password. Hopefully this should work. Not sure why this is not working for me now. Select the level. Yeah. Huh. This is good. At least we can see all the palaver that we might possibly go through. Interesting. But I'm happy that we are recording this session. Okay. Fingers crossed. Oh, we're there. Okay. Aha. At last. So it's interrogating. You can see it's gone to my spreadsheet, SharePoint. And then all you have to do is, let's say that's what I want. Now, this data are not related. I'm just showing you how you can connect to various data sources. Now, for Diane and I think Zane, you came in a bit late. So this is how you connect to your data source. You've got various connectors here. We're connecting to SharePoint. So SharePoint, it's gone to SharePoint and it's identified within the spreadsheet that I clicked on. that I have two options. There's a table called coding 1, and there's a spreadsheet that's called coding. So I know that I want coding 1, for example, which is my data. I can preview it just to make sure that that's the data set that I want, right? Now I can load this directly into Power BI, or I can transform it, all right? So if I click on transform data, it will launch Power Query Editor, right? So I just assume that my data is clean. So I just click on load. And what it will do is that it will bring that data set as part of my data set here. And now, obviously, they're not related, but I'm just showing you how you can bring in disparate data sets into one instance of Power BI Desktop. And as you can see, it's here, coding 1. If we go to the relationship view, it's there, but it's not connected because they're not related. That is it, hiding, right? You know, and then if you go to visualization, although it's there, you can then say, you know what? Maybe I can open a new page just for coding. And I might want to build my visuals with the fields that I have here. So for example, these are clinical data, so forgive me if I'm a bit ignorant. So you want to know, say, spells code. All right, okay. You want to look at spells by specialty, something like that. You might want to use specialty as a slicer, right? So you can say specialty, for example. You might want to use that as, you might want to select. So this gives you all the list, according to that specialty, for example. You can see all that, depending on what your consumers want to see. What else? Patient named, length of stay. You might say length of stay, which is a very good metrics. So we use cards for that, for example. So length of stay for neurology is 8. For ENT is 102. General surgery, for example, 926. I think that's in days. But you can see how you can start building. Now, you can have different files being loaded into Power BI, and you can have different pages. So this is, for example, something to do with sales. This is something to do with coding, depending on your use case, right? So, and if we go here, they're totally unrelated. However, you can have the same related data and create different views for your related data. It's possible. All right. Okay. So I'm going to pause there for a second before I go to the next session. So again, I'm leaving the window open. Questions. Susan, if you need to type in your questions. Alison, anything
Hi, I've
new?
got my microphone now. No questions. Thank you.
Wonderful. So good. Alison, are we good? Give me a thumbs up.
Be great, thank you.
Wonderful. Dan, thumbs up.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Zane, we're good? Zane, are you there? Right.
Yeah, but I just wanted to know, could you just show me how you connected the population table to the financial one again? Because what was the relation again?
Right. Okay, that might take us a bit back, but let's see. So I'm just showing you how to connect to the various data. All right. So we're looking at this, right? And this is the relationship that we have, the population, and that's the fact table. So what I did, if I click on transform data, which will take me to Power Query Editor, you know, what I did, let's assume I don't have population here, right? And I need to get the population into this table. So what I did is click on new source, which is like the same thing as get data, go to web, it comes on with a link. So all I did was go to the web page, the web page is called worldpopulationreview.com. Click on the link, and place the link in the dialog box and click on OK. If I click on OK, it will go to that same website and it will come up with this box, which is the navigator box. Now it's interrogating the data on that website, and it will come back with a list of tables, right? All I have to do is inspect the tables to choose the one I want. And the one I want is the table number 1. Click on the checkbox, click on OK, and then it will load here. Now it's loading, and you can see all the countries and the various population. Then, of course, this is where your transformation comes. You start changing, removing all the columns that you don't need. Right? Is that a bit clear, Zane? Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's clear.
Yeah, I'm just going to delete that. Again, don't, this is just visuals for you to understand how it works. If you come into the intermediate session, we go a bit more into details. Right? So I am going to delete that because I don't need that. Boom. So in a nutshell, that's how we create visuals with Power BI Desktop. Without anything fancy or any calculation yet. So let's see what we have in the slides. Right, so what we've been looking at in terms of connectivity to Power BI Desktop is what we call the import mode. Now, Power BI has about 4 different types of connectivity mode, right? So what we've been looking at is the data, pulling the data from source into Power BI Desktop. Okay, let me just explain what we're looking at here. So there's what you call live connection. Now, live connection is when you connect to the analysis services that we have. So where the data warehouse, let me put it in simple terms. Now, there's an army of data modelers, all right, that have created what we call data models at the back end. Okay, and there's also a already existing data set generated by Power BI in the past. So the data, those data, they reside at source, right? And all we need to do as Power BI developer is just to create visuals. We don't need to do any transformation, right? Everything is there. So when we connect using a live connection, when we go and get into the intermediate session, I will demonstrate that for you. We only have access to the visual element of our of Power BI. That is to say, we only have access to this. We don't have access to these two because the data modeling is done before we get into Power BI Desktop. That's one. The other aspect is interrogating a database. And to interrogate a database or a data source, there's a mode called direct query. Again, the only thing we have access to is the modeling aspect and the visualization aspect. The data resides at the data source. You cannot change it. You can transform it, right? So all we can do is model, right, and do a visualization, right? So in this case, what we did with the website was basically we can't change the population figures, but we can model it to match our visualization, right? The last one we did was importing, say, our spreadsheet or our data into Power BI Desktop. As you can see, there's an SQL Server database and plus 60 more. And with that, you can bring your data into Power BI Desktop, you can model it, and you can create visuals, right? This is probably the most use case for some of us on this call, or for most of us on this call. Now, the last option is what we call the composite, which is a combination of direct query and import, right? So this is just to give you a high-level understanding, or overview of the various connectivity that we have in Power BI. All right. Okay. All right, so we've covered starting Power BI, defining, of course, you have to get your business requirements, what the business wants you to do, how, connecting data to relevant data source. We've looked at relationship, we've mentioned star schemas and stuff like that, dimension table, fact table. Right, so, okay, and we can build the visuals like that. So the next thing is, what if we need to get more from our data? Then we now get into the, the sphere of DAX, data analysis expression. So we've covered Power Query, we've covered data modeling. So what is DAX? I mean, I can create visuals without DAX, but how do I get the best answers from my DAX, from my visual, from my data? That's what we want to look at now. So what is DAX, for example? Start with, let me show you. So if you go to DAX, DAX, yeah, I think that's where we are. Right. So this is a page by Microsoft. Just going to put that in the link for you. So here you have list of DAX reference here. So what is DAX? DAX is data analysis expression language, right? You use all kinds of operators. Sorry, apologies. That's my Alexa. Okay, so you have various operators, like, if you're coming from Excel, you know that, if you put a plus between the two numbers, that automatically is going to do addition, the minus, you can see all that. But what we need here, for example, is things like, how do we do aggregation from our data? How do we know the maximum, the minimum, the average, So we have functions here that help us, that Microsoft have coded to help us. So calendar, basically, what does it do? Calendar, this applies to our table. What is our table? We know from, we know that these are different tables. So coding is a table. Within coding, we have various fields, right? So question is, just 1 second. So this start date could be, for example, coding as a table. And then this date could be a field within coding, right? We'll look at that more. So let's look at aggregation. Say we want to know average, for example. So average of a column, how do we use it? So we want to know average of a column. So we apply that function, average, to the table called internet sales, for example. And then we're referencing a column called extended sales amount. All right. So let me just do a quick. So for example, here, let's say you have done a sample of a particular population, and the question is, we need to know the average of the population. So the population of men, say, versus women that are vaccinated or have a particular condition or anything, within your survey. So what you do is use the function average, which is called the DAX function, right? What you want to know is what we call the measure, right? And then you apply that to that table, whatever the table is, the name of the table. So for example, it could be, again, encounter, it could be patient access and stuff like that. And then you want to know the average of a particular column. So that's the simplest way to write a DAX function. A more complicated way would be this. We'll talk about this later when we get into the intermediate session. So there's a function called calculate, and you can see that it's calculate can use another measure that has been derived within itself. Okay, so let's see some example of what I mean. If we go back to our, so this is where we are. All right, so this is our sales table, for example, right? So I'm not going to use coding for now. So financial table, all right? So we want to write a calculation. What do we want to know? Let's go back here. So this is our fields, right? So let's say we want to know the, say, total profits generated here, for example. We can write a measure. Click on new measure. Right? So you can see a measure has been created here, and you can see the symbol. It's like a calculation. So we named the measure, say, total profit. Right? That's the name of a measure. That's what we want our readers, our report readers to see. That's what the business wants to know. Put an equal sign in front of it, which tells the application that we're about to start something. And then use a function, say sum, right? Which is the function. So what you see here is the IntelliSense, which is the artificial intelligence that kind of predicts what you are trying to do. So it's giving you options. In this case, we want to know about sum. Right. So what do you want to apply the sum to? And these are the list of tables and columns. So product is a table, but product, right, in inverted commas, and then you have product key in square bracket. Everything that you have in square bracket, what we're looking at is showing us a column within a table. Product is the table, but product key is referencing a column. And you can see the symbol of a table is a bit different from the symbol of a column. The column, you have the first column, without any grid. In the product symbol, you have all the columns in grids, and it's basically representing the table. So we want to know the total profit. What are we, I think we're interested in product. Sorry, in financial, the financial table. That's what we're looking at, right? And we want to know the total profit, right? So we're applying the sum function to the financial table, referencing the profit column, right? And then we close it. And then we validate it. And it does this calculation. And you can see we have a virtual calculation of the total profit. Now you can go back and use that, say here, for example, say we've got a card, an empty card, right? Okay, we can drop and drag that wherever we want, right? And then you can use your generated calculation to get the information you need. Now, this is the total profit generated by Power BI. This is the one we've calculated by using DAX measure. So what are we saying? We can use DAX measure in various ways to generate information that we don't necessarily have within our data set to answer business questions. So this is just some. So if I click on this, right, it's showing me that this is generated from a function that Power BI has created. You can see the sigma function sign beside it. So this measures or matrix with sigma functions, they are what we call implicit measures. We're the ones we've created ourselves. For example, this one is called explicit measures, right? Again, what else can we do? Say I go to new measure, right? I want to count, say how many products do we have in our inventory? All right, so I call the measure count of products. So this could be a count of patients per day. It could be count of incidents. It could be count of anything. But the focus here is I want to see how DAX works. And in this case, we're using a function called count. You can see that. And you can see the intelligence summary. It said count the number in the column. So I think what we want to do is count the numbers of product, for example, right? Thinking. And you can see it's created a new measure. And then we can use that, say, again, in any of our visuals. This time, let's do a box first. A card. Where is it again? We only have 6 products. All right. So in any country we're selling, I'm sure we're selling all the 6 products. Again, so you can use DAX to create measures. You can also use DAX to create what we call calculated columns. Right? So if you go to the table tool here, you can create new measures, which I've just shown you some examples. You know, there's quick measure, which is a shortcut way of creating measures, but you know, we'll demonstrate that later at some point. But what I want to show you, things like new column. So you have a data set. Again, let's go back to a financial data set. So you have your data set here, for example, right? And you want to create a new column. So what would happen? No, sorry, I did click on, so I click on the wrong example. I click on new column. Where is it? New column. And I'm interested in not the coding table. I'm interested in the financial table. I click on that, and then I click on new column. All right, and you can see it's giving me an empty column here. So what is it that I want to do, right? So let's see. All right, so let's calculate profit all over again. All right, so we can say we know that profit is equal to revenue minus cost, right? So we can say call the column our profit, just to differentiate it from the profit that we already have, right? And then we equals, that's the plus. Yep. And what do we want to do? We want to square bracket revenue, that's the revenue column, minus cost, for example. Again, square bracket. Okay. And that's what we want to do. So that's just a simple operation. And if we click on validate, we have that. So we can create new columns in addition to what we already have in our data. So that's what DAX allows us to do. So DAX allows us to create new measures, virtual calculations, and also to be able to create columns, physical columns. Hi, Zane, go ahead.
So I see that you added a column to this table, but do you know for when you did total profit, was that not added as a column?
Sorry, say that again. I couldn't hear clearly.
I was just going to say that, do you know how you've added this profit table here?
Yeah.
And then, but you've added this as a column, but for total profit, how did you add that on? Is that not added to this table?
Total profit.
You're
talking about this one? Are you talking about this?
No, not this profit. The other total profit. I think it was of all the countries.
All right. So yeah. So there's another. Well, okay. What I'm showing you here. Let's go back to the visualization. Right. So you know that there's a total profit here. Right. Now this total profit. Just 1 second. All right. Let me just reduce this. So if I click on this total profit, it's using this total profit. This total profit was generated by Power BI, right? Now, what I'm showing you is that let's assume we don't have this total profit in our data set. And all we have in our data set is revenue and cost, right? So we can easily calculate the total profit ourselves, which is an example I'm giving you here, right? So, and the reason why I'm using this example just to compare with what we have in our data, that even though you might not have this, but you might have the relevant column to generate that calculation, you can write DAX out to give you the result that you need. Does that answer your question?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. You know, so I'm just giving you how flexible we can use DAX. You know, right now I don't really expect everybody to get a grasp of it. I just want you to be aware that there's something called DAX. It's similar to Excel's formulas and functions, right? And this is how we use it within Power BI Desktop, right? I've given you an example of, say, count, sum. Another example on DAX that I can give you, let's look at it. Say maximum, for example. So I've just click on new measure. So let's say I want to know about maximum profit, for example, per country, right? So I create a measure called maximum profit. Now we don't have maximum profit within our data set, but we can generate that calculation. So we say maximum profit, equal sign, we use the function called max, right? And it says return the largest numerical value in a string or in a column. You can see the explanation, right? So we're looking for, in our financial table, you can see the various functions. There are over 200 plus functions. So we're looking at our financial table. No, we're not there yet. Say maximum, we can even use the calculated column we created, right? All right. Say we can use that. And that's been generated. Move. All right, so let's say this time we create a graph. And in this graph, we say country, maximum profit, where are you? If I can't find it, I can come to the search bar here. Right, per country. Now, remember, we don't have a column called maximum profit in our data. We've just created it using a virtual a measure. So we want to use that again, say country. You can see how, we can use a measure to generate the information that we need. And then you can just format, say data label, just to aid visualization. So the business, the reader, can make insightful decisions. So what's the maximum profit in Germany, for example? 11K. Mexico, 9K. What year are we looking at? What about in 2009? How much money are we making? Total profit. You can see all that, right? All right. So one thing here that you need to know, you can format. Let's see. We just got 5 minutes left. That's all right. We can format our data set. So profit, for example. Let me just remove this. All right. So profit, for example, if you highlight profit, you can format your data set. So what is profit? Obviously, profit is currency. Okay. And then you will format the currency. You can format the decimal place. You can see the currency symbol. You can format that to say pound instead of dollars, for example. So those are some elements we can play with. All right. So, and then the last thing, again, I'm not going to show you. We can also use DAX to create what we call calculated tables. Right. So that we'll go into that when we go into the intermediate session. So DAX can be used to create measures, calculated columns, and also what we call calculated tables, which are virtual tables, to generate some information that we need from our initial data set. So that's just to give you an insight on what DAX is. Now, you really don't need to understand memorize all the DAX function, but for you to understand the concept behind it, you can always look up from the website I sent you what DAX function is available to generate what you need. And of course, I've been able to help you understand this, how we reference a table, how we reference a column, and the DAX measure. We've created measures. This is how we reference our DAX measures. So start with this first, right? Learn how to understand, the basic ones first. Sum, average, count, rows, calculated functions, filters. There's a lot of resources online that will help you understand all that. Again, when we get into the intermediate session, we'll be going into some of this in more details. Right, so we've come to the end of our session. So this is where I leave the door open, the floor open for comments and insightful feedbacks on what you've learned today. So let's start with Alison.
I've learned a lot today. I think it's a case for me to go back and try and jig it about a bit, and practice makes perfect. But yes, I like it. Thank you.
So is this a step up from Excel? Is this the Tesla that I've been promising you?
Yes, it is. It
All right,
is.
thank you very, very much. So Susan, what's your thought?
Hi, yes, that's been very informative. Thank you. A couple of things that I've looked at Power BI on a couple of occasions and sort of not knowing where to start, and that's exactly what I needed. I know where to start, and I'll have a go at a couple of dashboards that I'm looking at in the next week or so. Yeah,
Wonderful.
That's good. Thank you.
Wonderful, you're welcome. I've just sent you guys a link to the feedback form. Please, I will appreciate if you can complete it. So while you're doing that, this is a learning pathway. So we've just completed the Power BI the developers training, which is what we have here. And then the next phase, once you've played around with Power BI desktop, have a feel around, then you can come on the intermediate developer session. We have 2 more this week before we pause, so you might want to do that as fast as possible. Then there we look into DAX in more detail, creating reports and stuff like that. And then, of course, to further along in our journey, we have supports, things like the Power BI Support Hub, which probably you guys have used to register today to jump on this training session. So while I open that, while I do that, Deanne, what's your thought so far?
Thank you so much for this. I do appreciate it. I have had some training on Power BI, but it was over 12 months ago, and it's one of those things which is exactly what Alison and Sue said. It's good to have this, but what I think we need to do is just practice on some simple Excel and build our confidence up with them. So if we have any questions about it, who is the best person to go to, or is there sort of like a repository where we can do Q&A at all, or anything like that?
There's a lot of information I'll show you on the Power BI Support Hub. You'll get a lot of information there. However, this is the feedback and contact page, so to say. You can always reach us via this email. Right? All right. And
Okay.
of course, as long as I'm available within the trust, you can always nudge me with a text. So okay, Tony, I have this problem. I have this question. I'm available to help and support you.
Yeah, I think that would be. I don't want to overwhelm you, but sometimes it's just a quick, 2-minute call. Can I just check why this isn't doing, and etc. And it's all, having that sort of like, or if there's any drop-in sessions that there are going to happen, I think that would be a good idea where people can, after this training, people can come in and then just have a bit of a drop-in session, and you make yourself available. If anyone's got any questions, they can go to that. And then if it is a drop-in session that other people are there, what you might do, you might find that some people have got some similar questions, and you answer it all in one. So I think that would be really good.
So we do have a drop-in session. I'm sorry, apologies for this. I've been forced to change my password, and I think that's why I'm having all this issue this morning.
Yeah, it might be actually, yes.
Yes. Right. So this is the if you go here, the intranet, if you go to say corporate services, scroll down a bit, and you get Power BI Support Hub. And we have everything concerning Power BI here. And we're still adding more details. So some of this, like today's video, probably will go up here. These are examples of all the available dashboard that the Power BI developer group that work for the Informatic group, they've developed. You know, our focus is, you know, maybe our local dashboard, our local reporting that we want to do with Power BI Desktop. You know, that's the essence of this class. But these are some of the dashboard that's already been developed, catalogs and stuff like that. You know how to get onto the dashboards through the Power BI service. You know,
yeah.
So this is our learning pathway. Again, you've completed foundation, you've completed the basic developer. You can click here to get into the intermediate session. Again, drop-in session is scheduled. You can see that's where you get into that. FAQs, which is constantly being updated, right? And then if you need access to Power BI license, if you know, as a developer, you might need to publish to the Power BI service dashboard. You need to publish the Power BI Desktop, and then some of the videos, some of our best videos of what we've gone through today. You know, so all the informations are there. Drop-in sessions, you can get all that here. And again, I'm always available for you. Zane, I've not heard from you.
Yep.
Any last word?
No, I feel like I just have to.
Just go on. We're nearly there. It's all right.
Sorry, I was just going to say that, yeah, I feel like I just have to apply it myself, and then it'll be a lot easier to understand it once I apply it with, like, practice myself, basically.
Wonderful. Great. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, presenting to you. So hopefully I'll be seeing you in the one of our intermediate session. We go more into details in some of the things we've learned today.
Thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.